Good evening everyone. Welcome to Game 3 of the 2013 US vs UK Internet Scrabble Tournament, a best of 9 series currently tied at 1 game apiece. Tonight we have Jeff Thevenot of the US versus Brett Smitheram of the UK, both strong international players who have represented their country at World Championship level. The match is about to start, so let's join the action. And it's Brett to go first. He has the X, which is a good scoring tile, and he has plenty of vowels. He doesn't have a bingo, but he ought to be able to score well with the X. I note that O's is playable, E-A-U-X. That plays off 3 vowels, and that would leave I-O-P, which isn't a bad leave given the starting rack. I think the priority must be to play off as many vowels as possible with the X. There's no particular reason to retain the X, because it's not a bingo-y tile. A play of XU would be quite blocky, but the rack leave of 4 vowels and a consonant is poor. Okay, Ooper. Right, well, Brett knows best. And Jeff has a problem. He has 3 I's, which isn't good. He nearly has... well, I was going to say Opifisa, but he doesn't have a P. But Fiery is good, F-I-R-I-E, so he should be able to play through this rack. There's no need to change. I'm looking to see if there's anything through the O of Ooper, either a doubled word or a double. Jeff will certainly be looking to play off 2 I's. Fiery, nice spot, nice positioning, 20 points. And Brett has drawn the Q. He doesn't have a U, but he does have I's, and Chi is good. But at the moment, Chi does not play on this board, which means that the Q could well be staying on Brett's rack. I'm wondering what he can do with the X. Well, Fixed is playable, down from the F of Fiery. 32 points. I'm wondering about Flixed. Yep, Flixed. That's going to be better than Fixed. The L did not go well with the Q. And many of the high-scoring tiles are coming up early. Jeff has the Z. He has Zilch on his rack. That does play at G1 across. Okay, and TWQ, one of our railbirds, who is, I believe is To Wybin, who's quackling the game, comments that CP prefers O first move. Okay. Not quite sure who or what CP is. But back to the game. Zilch does play at G1, but that's a bad play because that's putting the Z immediately above a triple word score, and that's certainly not a good thing to do. Chiz is a valid word. It would be good to play off the U as well. Lutz does that. I can't see anywhere to play Lutz. So this is already quite a tricky position. I guess Zilch does play at K3. But that plays off all the consonants, leaving E, I, U, which is a pretty vulnerable rack leave. If you pick up all consonants, it's fine. If you pick up 2 or more vowels, it's not. Shay is playable at M2 across, leaving E, I, L, U. And the L certainly does help the EIU leave. Now, okay, Zil is being mentioned as a possibility. Oh wow, I like that. J2 across. 36 points, Zil and Oil, leaving CHEU. And that's a pretty good rack leave because the C and the H do have synergy, and there's good vowel consonant balance. See how railbirds are already discussing the previous moves. And orifice, I think, is the move I was thinking about when I mentioned Opificer. But Zill looks pretty good. Jeff has already used up 3.5 minutes of his allotted 20. Wow, Ludic. Okay, and that's a good score, 28 points. There's certainly not a priority to play off the Z. So back with Brett. He's drawn a blank, which is good. He seems to pick blanks all the time, but you know, they do even out. Chin for 40. And Jeff's got the Z. Wow, okay. The play is picking up speed. 58 points, fabulous play. And Brett has drawn the second blank. Now, Gavot is good. That plays at G8 across, so Brett is certainly bingoing. And column 11 is hot because He's takes a D and an S. Now, Ravigoat is being suggested. And we also have a suggestion of Gavoted, and somebody's replied that it's not valid. Let me just check that. Yeah, Gavoted is not good. But I think the best play would either be beginning with the I of Flixt, hitting a double-double. I don't think that's going to happen. Or a word ending in D or S. Or indeed Megavolt. Excellent spot. That's a really fabulous spot. Excellent. Now, what does Jeff have? Looking at the scores, Jeff is 73 points behind, so he is a bingo behind, and he does not have a bingo rack. He's going to want to sort this rack out as quickly as possible. And the problem with this rack is that there are no high-scoring tiles, so it's going to be difficult to score well. Megavolt's an enormously impressive spot because one is naturally drawn to column 11 and sticking a D or S on the end of He's, and the E of Flix does not look like a promising floater. And Megavolt itself is a pretty obscure word. So what should Jeff do? There's no real problem in sorting this rack out. Dog would do that. But the problem is certainly on the scoring front. And Megavolt has stopped Jeff from sticking his D on the end of He's. So Brett did not take advantage of the He's hook, and he has stopped Jeff from doing so. There's quite a few bingo lanes on this board. Upa does take an S on the end, so column 9 is available and column 11 is available for a 7-letter bingo ending in S. We also have the floating I of Flixt. Jeff is going to want to keep the board open as long as he's behind. Well, very few suggestions from the railbirds. Drag and Day is being suggested by Magic Hour. And Gourd. Okay. Gourd only 15 points, but I don't think there's many more points available with that rack. Wow. Pretty, well, 50 points. Excellent scoring from Brett. That rack looked like it was fairly bingo. I don't know if there was a playable bingo. Probably not. But 50 points is not far off a bingo score anyway. And Ionic has not opened up anything for Jeff apart from floaters. Ionic doesn't take a hook on the end, and the C of Ionic inhibits a play along row O. Now Brett's got bingo-y tiles, but does he have a bingo? Well, there's no 7-letter there, 7-letter bingo, and the only 8s are through an L, adulator, and laudator. And one of our railbirds, Pooh, which is Helen Gibson, who's a fellow member of the UK team, has pointed out that Brett would have had cyanotic had there been a floating C. Well, that would certainly have been a fabulous play. Now it looks like CP is some form of computer simulation software. Quackle is probably the best known. Only 15 points, but Brett's plays off a lot of his tiles, increases turnover, expedites the end of the game. And he has got a 90-point lead. And by keeping the board, when the board is open, by making it even more open, you're helping yourself to keep on scoring. It's when the board is only a little bit open that it can be advantageous to pay a lot of attention to closing that down. Now Brett's rack looks close to a bingo. Yeah, I think that was a good play by Jeff in opening the board up even more. So, does Brett have a bingo? Doesn't have a 7. And there are 8s through an R and an S. The R1 being Attebrine or Rabbitine. So there's no playable bingo with this rack. But it should be possible for Brett to score with the B and leave a pretty good rack lead for next go. So even a play like Banai at L, 12 down, 14 points, would leave AENT. But I suspect Brett can do better than that. Nabe, 24, yeah. Now, this looks promising for Jeff. Surely he has a bingo here. I think Ratons and Rottens are both good, and Aturns. So Jeff is bingoing. Those bingos play in column 9. And they also play... Well, do they also play somewhere else? Possibly not. Yeah, Ionic took out the column 11 bingo lane. Strontia is being suggested. That's an excellent spot. 68 points. Brings Jeff to within 50 of Brett, but Brett is on turn. So Jeff is still a long way behind. But that bingo was really helpful in keeping his hopes alive. Brett has got waste in row H through the S of Strontia. And when Jeff played Dura for 15, it's being pointed out that Odd and Heased was a better play. Wayne for 25, that's good. And this is not a great rack for Jeff. He is 74 points behind, and this is a long way from a bingo. So Jeff is going to want to keep the board open, score well, and clear out some of the non-bingo-y tiles. He's got 3 tiles scoring more than 2 points, the B, the M and the Y. He'll will want, I suspect, to play off at least 2 of them. Now Mouldy is being suggested. B2. Yeah, now that's going to score pretty well, and it's going to open the board up. And the rack lever BNT, not too bad. And it's 38 points, I think, which is a pretty good score. And if Brett does play in... well, Brett is going to bingo now. He's got Aronite, which plays at A6 across. Okay, well, I think that was still... Mouldy was a good play by Jeff, because if Brett didn't have a bingo, and if he played in row A, he'd be opening up row B. I'm expecting Aronite to go down. Yeah. And Jeff's travails continue. Only one vowel. He really needs a bingo, and this is a long, long way away from being bingo-y. But he is going to be able to score well. Jasps is playable in row H through the S of Strontia. And Jab is playable at A1. So the score differential now is about 70 points. But it's Brett, who's 70 points up, who is on turn. He does not have a great rack, but he has a lot of scoring tiles in the F, the H, and the V. So he ought to be able to score well. He could play Vigor at G8 across. Wouldn't score hugely well, but it would be obstructive to his opponent. 37 points, that's a great score. Jeff's rack is improving, but the big problem here is the lack of vowels. So the S is a valuable tile, but having two on your rack isn't great. The second S is fairly neutral, and with this particular rack, it would be far better if that second S were a vowel. Now PSST is being suggested. And that's good. Playable at H12 across. That's a lovely spot. 27 points, and the rack leave of ENST is excellent. And PSST also provides two great floaters in the S and the T. But it's a difficult word to spot. It's certainly a word that Jeff will know, but it's difficult to spot. And PST is also valid, and that plays in column 11 to make 2. Great, well done, Jeff. That's an excellent spot. And Brett has a good rack. Does he have a bingo? He's going to be pretty close to one. No sevens. 3 8s through a B, a G, or a T. And that's the T one, ergative. Excellent. So I think Brett has now established, well, he's emptied the bag and there are only 6 tiles left on his rack. So Brett has indeed won this game. Just when Jeff's rack has matured into a bingo. He has tenders and tondras and sterned. Not sure if any of those play. Resident is being suggested. Yep, excellent. It's a good spot. And that is the end of that. Wow, well, that was a really quick game, all over in 19 minutes. Brett has 12 minutes left and Jeff has 8 minutes left on his clock. So a rip-roaring game. The final score, 419 to Jeff, 457 to Brett. A winning margin of 38 points, giving the UK a 2-1 lead in the best of 9 series. Let's see what they missed. And it was Brett to go first. Yeah, I think O's was better than Ooper. And orifice at h5, okay, coming down from the O of Ooper is being suggested, but fiery for 4 points less and a better rack cleave, I think is probably a better play because orifice provides so many floaters for Brett. Flixt, yeah, that looks best. Zill, that was mentioned. And Ludic was played for 28, leaving H-E-Z. Well, I prefer Zill. One advantage, though, of playing Ludic is that he's retaining an H for going at 06, so I retract my preference for Zill and am sitting on the fence as to the merits of Zill and Ludic. I think they're both pretty good plays. Chin for 40 at 01. Yep, that looks fine. And he's for 58. The setup paid off, rather. This was the Megavolt play, which was absolutely outstanding. Clearly the best bingo. Heased for 19. This is what happened here. So a gourd was played, and I think one of our railbirds mentioned that odd and heased was a better play. I think they're probably right. Yonic for 50. Really nice score. And, well, this is where there were a whole bunch of plays. I think Dura's as good as any of the others. Wow, I bad dat at B2. That's a lovely word. And Nabe and D4 looks as good as any of the other plays being suggested there. Strontia, excellent spot by Jeff. And Wayne looks best. Blimey at K2. Okay. And making Gordy. Didn't see that suggested. And I think that's probably going to be better than Mouldy. Mouldy scores about the same number of points. It scores 3 more points. It has a worse rack cleave and it's more dangerous on this board. So I think Blimey's better play. A better play. And, well, Brett played Aronite at A6, which is best. But even if Mouldy hadn't been played, Brett was bingoing with this rack. Jab at A1 looks best. And Faux for 37. Yeah, that's fine. Now this is where Jeff played PSST, leaving ENST, and just looking down the rack cleaves there, I think PSST is clearly best. Good spot by Brett, ergative. It's a high probability bingo, but it's a slightly tricky one to see because it's a very obscure word, unless you know what it means. And this was actually a really good spot by Jeff at the end. Gourd does take an E hook, but it's easy to overlook all the hooks of all the words. So when you're that far behind, to still identify row K as a bingo lane with an E on the end of Gourd is top scrabbling. So well done, Jeff. And that was the final move of the game, so we didn't get to see Brett tussle with KLM SUW. And that concludes Brett's involvement in this 9-game series. He has played all his 3 games. The remaining 6 games will be played by the 3 US players we've currently seen playing, plus the remaining 2 UK players, which are Helen Gibson and myself. So those games will continue on a cycle of about every 2 days until all 9 games are played. So join us again in 2 days' time for the next game. I hope you've enjoyed watching tonight.